It is incomprehensible that the police, instead of providing public order, act as personal bodyguards of Pashinyan's so-called Western-oriented democratic regime. How else can it be explained that for no reason at all they openly attacked peaceful protesters in broad daylight for everyone to see? Besides the obvious that we're dealing with villainous police in pseudo-democratic Armenia, there is even more cynical explanation. The reason for such violent and unprovoked special operations is to instill fear in the peaceful protest participants and the public at large by proving that the regime has impunity for its illegal acts without fear of repercussions. However, the ultimate intent of this special operation is to derail the real pro-Western democratic movement that is being effectuated on the streets of Yerevan and at the Freedom Square for the past 50 days. Next time Pashinyan speaks from international platforms bolstering about how democratic his regime is because of the so-called velvet revolution of love and tolerance, it would behoove him to look at the video recording showing how the police punitive squads attacked, beat and then arrested over 10 supporters of the National Democratic Alliance. The first three protesters that the police targeted for violence were the young activists who interchangeably spoke through loudspeakers with a microphone in hand at the rally, which followed the protest meeting at the Freedom Square. It is evident that police brutality was intended to suppress free speech and punish those who dared to publicly express and convey their message. This incident shows that Pashinyan resorted to the same methods of repression used by the former regimes, which he supposedly rejected in the so-called Velvet Revolution of 2018. The police orchestrated a petty provocation in order to justify their uncalled-for brutality, which unequivocally dispelled the myth of reformed and civilized police that Pashinyan boasted about to his Western donors who have funded for the improvements in the police department. It is obvious now that Pashinyan is following in the footsteps of his criminal predecessors that he so vehemently rejected. Hopefully all those who believe that Pashinyan is a reformer will see the reality of today's oppressive regime. It was a matter of time that the criminal elements within the police would one day be given a green light to resort their old methods. However, there is one big difference. In the past, the criminal regime simulated beating Pashinyan when he imitated to be an activist and a revolutionary, since they were jointly orchestrating a velvet revolution. While today, Pashinyan's criminal police do actually beat people who have opposing opinions. There is one more unnerving difference. In the past, the police used to beat people, but they would try to conceal the fact of violence to the best of their ability. Now they beat proudly and with great civility, with almost no effort to conceal their brutality. Not long ago, Pashinyan cynically lied, claiming that he loved, adored and was proud of the people who elected him and would serve them until that time when he was not wanted anymore. That time has come, and the streets are full of people demanding that he leave, people who were cynically deceived, manipulated, misled and were robbed of their homeland. It is evident that the police, under direct orders from the authorities, were instructed to act in unison by first throwing the protesters to the ground, surrounding them from all sides and kicking them viciously without mercy. This means that we have reached a level of dictatorship in Armenia that was not present even during the much-hated regime of the third president, Sargsyan. When the police took me out of the car, I saw you in front of me. They were holding your hands behind your back and pushing your head down in such a way that your head was almost touching the ground. That is the usual way that the police escort a dangerous criminal. They made a video of that to prove their loyalty to their bosses and that they have done their job as they were instructed. Pashinyan has taken the mask off his face and exposed his true nature. He is no longer hiding behind his phony revolutionary persona and has transformed into the monster that he once pretended to have fought against. It is important to gauge the timing of this transformation and understand who will stand against this monster. The era of nihilism is at its twilight and the pro pro-Western national forces have taken control of the situation to bring his regime to its demise. Russia is irrevocably on its way out of the region. Their agent Pashinyan has failed and is unable to complete his task of destroying the sovereignty of Armenia. Feeling the threat of his impending demise as a traitor, Pashinyan is desperately trying to cozy up to the Western powers that are entering the region to replace Russia. Unfortunately for Pashinyan, his fake move to the West is exposed by true allies of the West, such as the National Democratic Alliance, which explains his animosity towards the NDA.
Հիմա ինքը փորձում է իսկական արևմտամետ ուժերին, ինչպիսին BEVER-ն է, որոշակի ճնշած լինել եւ ինքը հանդես գալ այդ դրոշով։ Իհարկե, այդ խաբեությունը չի անցնի։
Nevertheless, Pashinyan is trying to throw himself into the arms of the West and in the meantime trying to neutralize NDA in order to eliminate any possible competition of pro-Western forces. Naturally, that scheme will now work. Following morning, after the police violence, I talked to some high-ranking officials in Washington, D.C., informing them of what had transpired. They are all well aware of who Pashinyan is and the games that he is playing. He should understand that he cannot deceive anyone in the West with his phony democracy and justify police violence at the same time. The National Democratic Alliance's sincere pro-Western advocacy is an unsurmountable obstacle for Pashinyan's pseudo-pro-Western maneuvering, which inevitably will result in his demise and loss of power. This explains why Pashinyan, with the fear of losing power, is transforming into a monster, otherwise known as a dictator. Ironically, Pashinyan's pseudo-West-oriented theater director, Vladimir Putin, exposed Pashinyan's secret at the Valdai Club meeting, stating that Pashinyan is his project and it is him who keeps Pashinyan in power.